On All Hallows Eve, the veil is thin, and restless spirits walk. When the moon is full and the path is bright as day, adventure awaits. The most timid will step with cautious feet, ready to scurry back at the slightest sound and huddle tremulous in their beds. The foolish will tumble onto the path, tripping over ruts and rocks, ignoring any warning signs. Trouble is sure to follow. The wise will simply pull the curtain shut and stay warm by the fire. The righteous will sniff in disapproval and clutch their Bibles tightly. The politicians will try to say, "It isn't true." But if it is, they will pass laws against it. Mothers will warn their children, and fathers will forbid. Is it because they remember a time of their own when they stepped into the star-filled night? Do they want to try again, just once more? But the brave ones, the ones with pirate's blood, they will seek the treasure of knowing the unknown. They step boldly into the treacherous path, weaving in and out through the shadows until they rip the veil between the worlds apart. Past becomes present, and today returns to yesterday. Here is the story, two by two, and more along the way, who met one moonlit night in the old Village Hill Cemetery in the town of Williamsburg in the year 2020.
Good evening. This is Will Beware on WOMG World News tonight, the 31st of October, 2020, and Halloween has been canceled. The full moon is shining on a world in trouble. As the pandemic enters its ninth month, the COVID rate, unemployment, and civil unrest all continue to rise. The only thing falling is our faith in mankind as candidates viciously battle for the upcoming election.
Come on, Jenny, let's go. I want to be there by midnight.
I'm not so sure this is a good idea, Jack.
We don't want anyone to hear us. Don't wake the dead.
Oh, shut up. You know your parents won't approve of this, and our children certainly will think we've gone crazy.
I am a little stir crazy.
That's because we've been sheltering in place since March. Darn pandemic will never end.
It has been a long 7 months, and we have been really careful staying at home with just our family.
That's just it. We're always telling the kids they can't go anywhere, and here we are, sneaking out.
What do you think? Our teenage children will have us arrested for going out for a moonlight walk? They're shut into their rooms with their faces glued to tiny screens. They won't even notice we've gone. And my parents, they've been asleep since 9. We are good to go, babe.
Yeah, a moonlit walk to the cemetery on Halloween night. What could go wrong?
Come on, Colin. I want to get there by midnight. Hurry up.
Are you sure this is a good idea, Emma? What if Mom and Dad check our rooms?
They're sound asleep. Their room is dark. We've been shut up in this house for months because of the pandemic. We're just going for a little walk the street at midnight. Social distancing because no one will be out. Come on, be bold for once.
Fred, come on. Can't you go any faster?
It's all uphill. We should have taken the car, Darlene. I'm not as young as I used to be.
You know, the doctor said walking was good for us.
She didn't mean hiking uphill to a damn cemetery at midnight. I could be dead by the time I get there.
Then you'll be in the right place.
Nah. Tell me why I'm still married to you after 50 years.
Because you love me, you old fool. How long has it been since we snuck out at night?
That'll be 50 years or more or less, before I convinced your father I was good enough for you.
Well, I knew you were then, and I know it today. Think you meet up with his ghost tonight?
I hope not. He still doesn't approve of me.
Well, I love you, and that's what counts. Let's hustle to the crypt before midnight. Who knows who we'll meet?
Well, that's what I'm afraid of, my dear. The veil, as they say, is thin, and we're closing in on it.
Ethan, are you ready? What's taking you so long? It's nearly midnight.
Just one more drink and one more dance, Liz. It's been so long since we could mingle with other people. Glad the Spanish flu has finally gone back to Spain.
How can you joke about that? So many were lost to it. I'm hoping some of their spirits will be near enough tonight. I need to talk to...
I know. I'm sorry, sis. I know you're missing your fiancé, John. I miss him too, but do you really think?
I just want a sign that he's at rest. I just need to feel his spirit once more.
The spirits in this bottle are enough for me.
Don't be like that, Ethan. I just know tonight's the night. October 31st, 1920. The moon is full and the spirits walk.
I'd rather have them dance. Wonder if they can Lindy.
Oh, you are such a nut, Ethan. But please don't tell Mother and Father about this. I don't want them to think I was so foolish as to hope for a sign. They just say he's dead and gone, and I should move on. But I need to know.
I would never tell on my baby sister. What do our parents know? Come on, then, let's find out. Maybe you will feel Johnny's spirit tonight. Do we go to his gravesite at the Village Hill Cemetery? How will we find it in the dark?
I know just right where it is. I go nearly every day. I just don't think he's really there. I thought we'd peek into the crypt. I got a funny feeling when I walked by it today on the way to Johnny's grave. Like something was calling me.
Oh, great. That's just what I want to hear. Voices from the crypt.
Scared, brother? You used to torment me with the ghost stories.
No, of course I'm not scared.
Uh-huh.
Come on, we're almost there. Let's see who runs screaming, little sister. Then we can go back to the Grange and dance some more.
Oh, thanks, Ethan.
Daniel, could you hurry a bit? The children are finally asleep, and I am longing for the night air.
Louisa, I fear what the elders would say if they heard you speak so. They would take you for a witch.
Truth be told, Daniel, I feel bewitched by the full moon. It's as bright as day.
Our path to the cemetery will be easy this All Hallows night. I wonder if we will meet any spirits, old friends lost along the way.
There have been so many lost from the yellow fever. The gravedigger and the undertaker have been showered with gold these last few years.
Village Hill Cemetery will soon afford its own town hall and tavern.
Oh, Daniel, you are such a fool, but I truly love your dark humor. Still, every year we try to connect. The veil, they say, is thinnest on this night. I wonder if they await us at the crypt tonight.
No one has ever broken through that veil in all these years we have tried.
Perhaps 18 and 20 will be the year they come.
All of them hurried through the bright moon-drenched night. Some came down Village Hill, some labored up it. 100 years apart, times 3, they arrived at the stroke of midnight in front of the crypt. The door stood open.
Louisa, the door is open. There's a light within. What shall we do now, my dear wife?
Why, we will enter, of course, Daniel, my love. I told you 18 and 20 was the year.
Dear God, Liz, will you look at that? I need another flask of bathtub gin if you want me to go in there.
Just a sip for you. And for me too, Ethan. Liquid courage. Oh, the light is so warm. I hear voices calling. Maybe it's Johnny. Oh, I hope he waits. Hurry! The clock is striking midnight.
My God, Darlene. Tell me I'm not having a stroke. Do you see that? The door is open.
Fred, just hold on to my hand. Do you hear something? We just have to step inside.
Yo, Emma, tell me you see this. Epic.
Wow, Colin, I didn't really think we'd see anything. Are you sure your friends didn't sneak up here and open the door of the crypt?
I swear, I didn't say anything to any of them. Do you feel that cold breeze?
I hear something too. Is it music? Old-time music like Great Gatsby. Oh man, do we really want to go in there?
I don't think we have a choice. It's pulling me. Hang on to my arm.
Holy crap, Jack. Do you see this? The door is hanging open.
I don't know what to think. We're not dreaming, are we? Do you hear those voices?
I do. And the light is so beautiful. We just have to step across this threshold. Come on, honey. 2020 has been nothing but trouble so far this year. Pandemics, crashing stocks, riots and protests, political craziness, power plays, lies and accusations from all sides of the government. And all I see here is a soft, bluish light. And all I hear is the wind in the trees. I think it's time to let go a little of what is so harshly real and try what might be magic.
As they stepped in, 2 by 2, each in their own time, the clock in the big white steeple struck the midnight hour. And it was indeed magic. As each pair entered the open door, unseen by the others, they found themselves in a large white room with a circle of ornate chairs around the perimeter. No windows, just the one door and a cobblestone floor covered with an oriental rug in shades of blue. In the center of the rug stood a small and ancient being, a wise spirit, robed in soft white. The spirit said not a word, but gestured to each pair and directed them to a chair. As the 6 chairs were filled, the occupants became visible to each other.
Emma, Colin, what are you doing here?
Just what do you think you're doing, coming to a graveyard at midnight?
Same goes for you, Mom and Dad.
Hi guys. We're just, hey, Graham and Gramps, you're here too.
Mother, Dad, what were you thinking? It's late and dark and freezing. You could catch your death of cold here.
Now you mind your tone with me, young lady. Your father-in-law and I have been coming here for years on Halloween night, but it's never worked before. I wonder why it did tonight.
Must be because we've been so isolated during the pandemic. So many have died that the road to heaven is wide open for lost and wandering souls.
That's creepy, Gramps. We're not dead, are we?
I don't feel dead, but I am a little shaky.
Maybe I'm dreaming.
If you are, we all are. Who's that? All in white in the center of the room?
And why are there 4 empty chairs?
At that, the spirit in white pointed to the misty doorway. Liz and Ethan materialized slowly as they entered the room and nervously took their places in 2 of the chairs. Emma and Colin pulled up their face masks. The others, squirming in their chairs, pulled up their masks too.
Oh, Ethan, we've found it.
On what exactly, Lizzie? Are we dead? Do you see them? Why are they masked? I need a drink.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Graves, Lizzie, and this is my brother Ethan. Can you tell me, are you from the other side? Have you seen a man called John Beacon? He died just a few months ago from the Spanish flu. I was hoping to see him. I miss him so.
Liz, what are you doing? We don't even know where we are. Look at the way they're dressed.
I know, strange costumes for sure. Why do you cover your faces? Are you robbers or thieves?
You said Spanish flu. Don't you mean COVID-19? Coronavirus? We wear masks to slow its transmission, to protect each other.
No. Spanish flu has many names, but not that one. Our country, the whole world, has just suffered 2 years of this deadly disease, which killed more than the war did. Some wore masks at the end of it all. Too little, too late. Others claimed it was an infringement of their freedom. Anti-maskers, they were called. People refused to believe.
Same here.
Spanish flu? That was in 1920.
Yes, of course. The Spanish flu has finally ended, and we are able to be out with others without fear. Tonight, we left a perfectly jolly All Hallows Eve dance to come here. My sister hopes to contact her fiance, who passed on from this plague last winter.
But it's Halloween, October 31st, 2020.
Liz and Ethan were stunned to silence for a moment. The family all looked at each other with varying expressions of fear, wonder, and excitement. Then all looked at the misty opening again as two more figures emerged. The spirit in white bowed to them and gestured to the two remaining seats. They sat, Louisa fussing with her full long skirts, and Daniel removing his black hat.
Oh, Daniel, we have finally broken through the veil. Good evening, gentle spirits. We mean no harm. I am Louisa Graves, and this is my husband, Daniel.
I hope you mean us no harm as well.
I must say, you are all dressed so peculiarly. You must be chilled with so much flesh showing.
My dear, they look at us so strangely. And why are some wearing masks?
Graves, you say? I think you're relatives of ours. I'm Frederick Graves, my wife Darlene, my son Jack and his wife Jen, and their children Emma and Colin.
We are also Graves. I'm Ethan and my sister Elizabeth. Please, what year is it for you, Mr. Graves?
Call me Daniel. What a strange question, sir. It is October 31st, in the year of our Lord, 1820. Though we have come here every year since 1812, this is the first year we have connected with anyone. I wonder why.
Perhaps because this year has been so deadly for so many. The yellow fever has taken so many lives. The gates of heaven must be permanently ajar.
I feel the same way, but I must tell you that you have traveled forward 200 years, or we have gone backward in time. I'm just not sure anymore. My family and I came to the crypt on Village Hill in Williamsburg in the year 2020. We are still battling a virus that has claimed millions of lives. We have been isolated from everyone but ourselves for months now.
Is this why you cover your faces, but allow your arms to be bare? I must say that is a strange practice. You could get chilblains or suffer from night fever.
20 and 20, you say? I did not expect to be propelled forward in time. We were seeking the spirit of my brother and our youngest child, Rebecca. both of whom perished from yellow fever this year, in the year of our Lord, 1820.
At this point, the spirit in white cleared an ancient throat. Everyone looked at the spirit. A voice came out, rusty and hoarse, as if the spirit had not spoken in many centuries. Yet the spirit spoke, looking at each of the 10 gathered there.
You each have questions, and together you may find answers. Time flows and changes, but human nature remains a stubborn and fickle thing, never learning from the past and rarely looking to the future. You have all arrived in this place where time stands still. When the clock chimes again, you will all leave here, charged with the great task of becoming like the rocks thrown into stagnant water. Your ripples will flow upon many shores, and perhaps, just perhaps, you can change the world for the better, each within your own time.
With that, the spirit faded until there was nothing left but a white mist. And then that was gone as well. The family in the room all looked at each other in silence for a few beats of their hearts. And then,
It seems we have been given a task.
Oh, more like a gift. I think we are all safe in this holy place. We don't need masks.
Yes, I feel like it's a family reunion of sorts. I'm pleased to meet you all.
So then, cousins, tell me of this plague of yours. I had hoped the future doctors would have cured the world of such things. In 1820, the yellow fever claimed many lives here in our village of Williamsburg. It crept up from the south, we think, with the rich summer travelers and the slaves they insisted they must have.
We were told in American history class that it came from Africa on the slave ships.
It took hold of the hot swamps of the south and spread from person to person by mosquitoes.
The fever did not care about the color of your skin, but stole the lives of young and old without mercy.
It was the same with us in 1918, when the Spanish flu rolled over us in waves like an angry sea. We fought 2 wars those years, one in Europe for world freedom, and one here for our lives. My Johnny came home from the war to end all wars, from bombs and bullets, and died here from something no one could see.
That doesn't seem fair. And yet here we are in 2020, and yet another unseen virus is killing millions around the world, while some people do their best to deny it even exists.
I don't know why we haven't learned from the past.
I don't think anybody listens. So let us listen. Tell us, please, about the world of 18 and 20. Here in our town of Williamsburg. We had slaves here? I thought there were abolitionists. And rumors of underground railroad stations, Sojourner Truth, Joel Hayden, the Reverend Cyrus Phillips.
I dare not speak of these things. Our town is divided in opinion, and those in power are harsh to rebuke anyone who opposes them.
Seems like that hasn't changed.
Some have freed their slaves, and some have escaped by various means. Tell me, do you still live in the family home on North Street?
Yes, we do. All three generations of Graves are currently living there.
Did you find the hidden room, the panel in the parlor, and the stairs to the basement?
What?
No, what?
Room.
No.
What stairs?
What room?
Which room?
Oh, cool. I
Stairs?
knew what that was for.
What?
See, it pays to have all this COVID time on our hands. Emma and I found it months ago.
And you didn't think to mention it to us?
We were going to, eventually. I was going to do a paper on it for my Zoom history class. I was doing some research first.
Yeah, it made history interesting for once. Tell me, great grandmother, was it part of the Underground Railroad?
Oh, that I cannot say out loud. We would be punished if certain people knew. Tell me, did the slaves gain their freedom in the future?
There was a civil war not too far in your future, 1861 to 1865, and Black people were officially freed. I find there remains some injustice, even in the 1920s.
And still to this day, 2020, we're having a worldwide pandemic. You would think that would bring us together for universal help and protection. Instead, there is so much injustice and hatred it's boiled over into the streets.
People never learn, but please, Daniel and Louisa, tell us about your time. And then Liz and Ethan, tell us about yours. Maybe we can know what to do in our time to make the world better.
The room became brighter and warmer. A faint wind stirred the air, lifting their hair and cooling their faces. It was as if a door to the past was opening within the swirling greens and blues. The sounds were of rushing water, the click of horses' hooves on hard-packed dirt, and voices singing a sad gospel song. The vision came into focus. A funeral procession with a tiny casket on the bed of the wagon at the lead.
Oh, Daniel. Oh, no. We are back to the day of our daughter's funeral. Why, oh, why must I see this again?
Oh, that was a hard day. A hard day.
I am so sorry you must see it again. We all see it. Nothing is worse than the loss of a child.
Can you tell us what happened?
The scene changed to a wagon full of children laughing and talking, and the driver was a smiling Black man singing to his horse.
Yes, of course. Our daughter Rebecca was the light of our lives. She was only 7. She was so excited that she was going to, at long last, be a big sister. It was early October, and she had been doing so well at the Nash Hill schoolhouse. Every day, Mr. Beauregard's servant, Josiah, came with the wagon, and he picked up the children from North Street to take them to school. The wagon was packed with them, like a circus of laughing faces of all shapes and sizes and colors. Mr. Beauregard was letting Josiah's son, Amos, attend school as well. He was our Becky's best friend. It didn't matter that he was a boy. They were just the best of friends. The Beauregards had moved here from Georgia in August because, as Mr. Beauregard said, the air was unhealthy in Savannah. We did not know that he had lost several family members to the yellow fever and that he carried the disease himself.
The scene changed again. The wagon now with just a few children, quiet and pale. Josiah is slumped listlessly on the seat. Amos is not with them.
A terrible illness came over our village. People got ill, very ill. It started with chills, fever, and aching pains. Soon they bled from their gums, nose, and bowels. Their skin and eyes turned yellow. Within a day or two, they died. The doctor couldn't say why, but he thought it started from the bite of infected mosquitoes and was carried quickly from person to person. The death toll mounted fast. The doctor tried to get the villagers to stay home, especially after dark, saying it would help stop the spread.
Merchants and factory owners derided his words. They didn't want to lose their money.
And so folks just continued on like nothing was wrong. They crowded into the churches and the meeting hall. They went to market. They went to the fair. Our Rebecca went to school, but she had lost her sparkle because she had lost her friend Amos. And soon Josiah was too ill to drive the wagon. And then our little girl.
I still wonder if we had just kept her home from school, if we had stayed inside ourselves, if we'd listened to the doctor.
The scene in the center of the room faded. They all looked at each other. Most were crying.
Sounds so much like what we are battling to this day, 200 years later.
Scientists and doctors say stay home, but no one wants to stop the party.
Again, the lights began to swirl. Music began to play, fast and happy songs. The family watched people dancing, drinking, and laughing, crowded into smoky halls. The post-war 1920s roared into the little room. No one could help it. Their toes began to tap.
Oh, I love to dance. Once I got home from the war, I just started to dance every chance I got.
Was World War I as bad as they said?
World War I? I hope there were no others, for we fought the war to end all wars, the Great War. We showed those Central Powers that the Allied forces were in charge. We fought them from the trenches, shoulder to shoulder. We were victorious. There couldn't have been another war. We took care of all that.
Sadly, that was not the end of war.
Well, what's the matter with people? Don't they learn from history?
There have been many more. World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, and still more. Someone is always fighting for something that someone else wants.
Well, by 1920, we were sick of war. We brought home so many broken men, and we brought home a disease that was to kill even more than died at war. The Spanish flu, it is called.
In history, we learned it wasn't really from Spain, yet Spain gets bad credit for it.
I don't know where it came from, but it killed my Johnny.
It was such a sneaky enemy. I read it really started in March 1918 at Camp Houston, Fort Riley, Kansas. They said it really wasn't that bad, just fever and malaise for a few days. But it spread among the troops and it marched off to war with the soldiers. And in those tight trenches, by October, it became another enemy. It spread like smoke in a firefight, covering everyone. Most that got it died, drowning in their own fluids in a day. Others stayed alive and spread it to where they were stationed in Europe. Spain was hard hit, and that's how it was given the name, to deflect that it came from us.
Some really dumb people in 2020 call our epidemic the China virus or Wuhan flu. All that does is try to put the blame on one country or one race. And all that does is breed hate.
Exactly. It's mob mentality at its worst. It didn't matter where or how it started. It was just within our ranks. It played no favorites. And when we came marching home, we brought it back.
Yes, it came in waves, 3 waves, each one worse. The government didn't want to acknowledge it because that would slow down wartime production. And then the post-war boom.
And the public health officials wouldn't call for quarantine until 1919. By then, there were 20 to 50 million dead worldwide.
What about masks? I heard there were those who violently objected to masks.
Yes, there were groups called anti-maskers who felt it was against their freedom to enforce a mask.
How little we have learned.
We swarmed into the streets to celebrate victory from war, and the virus danced with us. We doomed so many more.
And now, in 1920, despite the war and despite the plague, or maybe because of it, we dance again. We drink and dance. We forget the past and ignore the future. Why?
No one knows why, except you are human and you are alive. You who have come from the past have shared your stories. It's eerie how they are so similar, even though a century separates each time. And you, from the here and now, from the dire year of 2020, have you any idea to stem the flow of humanity's mistakes? Or must we repeat again the losses when common sense, decency, and science could have saved so many?
There must be a way to make ordinary people listen, not to the greedy government or the crazy fanatics, but to the rational scientific minds who have studied this. History does repeat itself, but does it have to?
I have listened to each of you. I learned to listen from my parents and grandparents, but now I have heard from my ancestors as well. Change must come. It must start from each of us in this small white room in our small village. This all may just be a dream, but then what are dreams for if not to help us solve our problems? And I pray from this day forward that I will try to be the change the world needs.
We
We
all
all
will.
will.
Daniel and I will work every day of our lives to keep children safe.
And to ensure that all men and women are free.
And Liz and I will do all we can to stop future wars. I think I will get into politics and try to uncorrupt the warmongers. We have to stop dancing on the graves of soldiers.
and I will dedicate my life to curing disease. Science and common sense should be our goals and gods, not wealth and power. I will do this to honor my Johnny and to help you, my dear future family.
And we vow to keep this good fight going into the future. We are young and strong, yes, and we've been given the most remarkable gift, a glimpse of the past.
Your stories are now a part of our lives, and we will remember you always.
The veil is thin this Halloween night, and each of you has passed through to this holy place for a reason. Our world spirals through space and time, continuing the foolishness of human behavior year upon year. War, plague, and especially hate all return, each time worse than before, never learning from the past and never looking to the future. But at this time and in this space, each of you knows things could change. It takes courage and knowledge to find the goodness, the love and the understanding that has been forgotten. Spread it throughout your time on earth, like ripples from a stone tossed in still water. You hold within you the magic your world needs. Sleep now. Courage will find you in the morning. And you will be the change that saves the world.
And with that, the wind inside the crypt swirled madly. There was a blinding light. Thunder boomed as the bells faded. Each of the time travelers awoke in their own time and in their own bed. Each was filled with courage and hope. And each began in their own time, in their own way, to make the dream come true. So that when they meet again in 2120, they will meet in a time of peace.
Williamsburg Players would like to thank you for joining us for our production of The Veil is Thin, an original play written by Trish LaFrenier and directed by Glenda Cresto, produced by Colin Black, Foley artist Jen Burdick, starring Sylvia Lipinski as the narrator, Denise Bannister as the Wise Spirit. The 2020 Graves family was played by Larry West as Fred, Mandy Emerson as Darlene, Roy Beals as Jack, Susan Farrell as Jenny, Rowan McElligott as Colin, Penelope Black as Emma. The 1920 Graves siblings were played by Daria D'Arienzo as Liz, David Bickford as Ethan. The 1820s couple was played by Ken Borden as Daniel, Elaine Hyde as Louisa. We hope you enjoyed our show. Hold on to its message. Change will only happen if we all do our part to make the world a better place. Thank you.